Hello, it is the turn of the year. It's the longest day of the year today. If you are in the northern hemisphere, is it just northern hemisphere or is it? It is the longest day of the year today in the UK, where I'm based. I think one of the nicest things about living in the UK is that in the summer it does stay light really late, and I really cherish those light evenings. But anyway, I digress. We're halfway through the year, and that means it's been half a year since I started this channel, since I started my, let's say, contemporary writing journey, because actually this journey started way back. But it's been since 6 months since I started writing consistently. So I thought it would be a good idea to review my progress and give you all an update on what I've written this year, how much I've written, and kind of how far I've come in the past 6 months. Okay, so what did we have when I started writing at the beginning of the year? So remember that I had a number of stories that were unfinished, half written, extremely drafty, that I'd worked on over a period of about 15 to 20 years. And I had not worked on them consistently. When the mood took me, I would sometimes write a story down. It was on my phone or it was by hand as well. So there was kind of this like motley crew of half-written stories. So at the start of 2026, I had 4, let's say, extremely drafty first drafts. So they had an ending, they were finished, but I'd never reread them, done any editing or anything like that. I'd just written them and then I just left them. So I had 4 of those. I also had 2 half-written stories, which did not have endings. And I also had 4 ideas. So they did not exist on paper at all. They were just being stored in my head. So that makes 10 in total. But really it only makes 6 because only 6 of those actually existed in terms of words. So we had six stories in various states, but none of them like fully complete, fully edited. And then the 4 ideas. And what we have now, I did have to write this down before I started recording. What we have now, halfway through the year, we have... So the first thing to say, let's talk about what I haven't done. So those 4 very drafty first drafts still remain very drafty first drafts. I had a quick look at them and I've not edited them. Why haven't I edited them? I don't know. Why haven't I edited them? That's a good question. I think it's because they really need a lot of work in the editing, including to the actual storyline and events. And I just haven't felt like doing it. That's it, really. Just haven't felt like doing it. So those 4 firsty drafty drafts, they're still like that. We also have 2 unfinished short stories. These stories were, at the start of the year, they were, well, one did not exist at all, and one was an idea. And now one is actually nearly finished first draft and one is just started. So 2 unfinished stories. And we also have now 6 full drafts that are in editing. And across those 6, there's quite a lot of variation. Some are like really just a full first draft, but I've reread them and kind of made notes for the next stage. Some are in sort of second or third round of editing. And some, I would say, are almost ready to submit somewhere, almost. So there's 6 of those. And we also have 2 pieces that have been submitted. One is a short story. I submitted it to 2 different places. And one is a flash fiction, which I just submitted. And I also submitted a poem as well. I'm not counting that because I'd written that years ago. So that means that we now have how's that possible? No, I didn't start with 10 because 4 of them were ideas. So I think I made this more complicated than I needed to. Because 4 of the 4 very drafty ones, maybe I just need to get rid of. They haven't changed at all. So if I delete those, well, not delete them, but let's just. Then if we take the 4 very drafty first drafts out of contention, so that means, get there eventually, that means that this year I have written 8 stories. Okay? And those are 8 stories that were either partly written or did not exist at all, but I might have had the ideas for them. Now, that includes 2 flash fiction pieces, which are obviously very short, but it also includes 1 novelette, which is longer. I think it's about 13,500 words. So, that is what I've done this year. So what do I need to do in the rest of the year? So at the moment, most of my writing sessions have been editing stories because I'm trying to get things ready to submit. And I'm also spending quite a lot of time kind of strategizing and thinking and planning about where I want to submit different stories. So that takes up quite a bit of time as well. What I haven't done, which I would like to do in the second half of the year, is get to those 4 very drafty first drafts and get them edited and decide what I want to do with them. And that will be I feel like that will be less like editing and more like rewriting the full story, because they were just written a long time ago and they don't have, your creative voice. I mean, it's always evolving, but I feel like my creative voice has evolved and changed a lot in the past 15 years. Obviously, you go through changes in your life, huge life changes, and with that, your voice, your perspective, what you want to write about and how you want to write about it, that changes with time, I think, as you age and as you evolve, right? Mentally, emotionally, etc. So I think those will be more of a rewriting than a re-editing. And it's a shame that I haven't got to them so far, but I did always say that I had lots of ideas that I'd had for ages, and one of my priorities was to get those ideas written up first before going back into old stories. So I kind of stuck to that, and I'm glad that I have. And then along the way, I had new ideas. So there are a couple in there that have only happened this year that I hadn't planned or anything. So, sorry, that was a slightly chaotic update. It's difficult to give a sort of straightforward summary because it's not really a linear process. I'm constantly moving between different stories, and everything is now in quite different stages, whether it's drafting, editing. Obviously, once it's been submitted somewhere, you can kind of box it off in a way. But there are still more ideas, still more pieces that I want to write. I wrote another flash fiction piece today on a train journey, and again, I really enjoyed doing that. So I think I'm going to continue to write bits of flash fiction here and there. It kind of scratches an itch for me. And that's about it. I'm proud of myself for what I've done so far. I never thought at the start of this year that I would have already submitted anything. Like, I didn't even know how people got short stories published at the start of this year. I had no clue, completely clueless. So I've learned a lot along the way, not only about writing, but also about publishing. And I'm super grateful to have had the opportunity and the freedom and flexibility in my life to pursue this interest. And I'm also grateful to you for being here with me on this journey. I look forward to sharing with you in the rest of the year. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.